Welcome to the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Main, awesome wife and dog mom for life. I'm a sex therapist turned sex coach, and I run a successful business selling relationship enhancement products. I absolutely love talking about all things sex. So you can expect this podcast to explore all things related to women's sexual health because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you discover and embrace what brings you pleasure so that you can own your sexual self. If that sounds good to you, then keep listening and let's fucking do this. All right, hey everyone, welcome back to the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast. I have on with me another cohort member from my Sex and Love University program. I swear, y'all, the people that I met in this program are amazing, amazing creatures out there doing some great work. And with it being Pride Month, well, we're about to go into Pride Month at the time that we're recording this, but June, if you didn't know, is your Pride celebration month. And so we wanted to use today's episode to really talk about a really specific topic about how people can come out to their family members and friends and really normalize some of the thoughts and emotions and experiences that happen around that. So who else better than my lovely, beautiful friend, Sarah, to share kind of her expertise around this. So Sarah, thanks again so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Rachel. I'm so excited to be here and especially part of your Pride Month celebrations.
I know. I'm so pumped, and Pride is something that has definitely been more near and dear to my heart. You know, I work for the Pure Romance Company, and our CEO of the corporation, he has a daughter who is transgender, and so they started that Living with Change Foundation to help support LGBT youth, and they're very known in now the Cincinnati community, and so now we offer an LGBT product line in our services, and so now just through that it's like I'm able to further my education. So I'm super excited to have you on today again because I know you're an expert in this field. So tell us a little bit about, take us like way back in the day, right? When did this all start from you, and how did you get into this field of work?
Oh gosh. Well, when did it all start? Gosh, I guess about 15 or so years ago, when I first moved to Austin, I kind of started kind of my own coming out journey. At the time, I was just kind of, coming out, with like my sexuality as a queer person, a pansexual person. And I was kind of just like connecting with community, like on a personal level. And then, as kind of time went on, I was a massage therapist for a while. I'm a stylist. And so I started working with the community a lot more, especially with an organization here where I first started was working with Out Youth. And they're an amazing organization here in Austin, Texas. And they service LGBTQIA2+ community, the youth of that community specifically. They have like a community closet, lots of community outreach programs, and they do kind of special events like for kids that are going to prom. They will bring in stylists and get beautiful dresses and suits and outfits for them to wear, and just make it a really like positive, affirming experience through the school system, when sometimes these kids don't always have those opportunities. So that's kind of how it started. And then I guess sort of like time hopping a little bit to about 7.5 years ago, when I met my now husband, Rocky. And Rocky, I was actually one of one of the first people that he came out to as transgender, and I have permission from him to share parts of his story and our story. But yeah, we just, when we found each other, we both had a real desire to work in these like advocacy groups and serve the communities that we were a part of. And, we were really energized by that in each other. So we began a couple of years into our dating and marriage We started a YouTube channel, SwirlBabyTV, and we focus on making, I guess, what I would call like edutainment and lifestyle type content and videos for and by our community, and especially, to give people an opportunity to not only see people that are actively able to be visible in this community, because many of us are not. We want them to see that visibility, and we also want people that want to be allies to the community to have an opportunity to ask us questions that they maybe wouldn't feel super comfortable asking other people, or they're not sure if they're maybe even appropriate questions. We want to kind of give them an opportunity to come to us so they don't have to trial and error on their own family and friends.
Yeah.
And then moving forward from there, I've just the last few years been focusing more on my actual coaching practice as a sex, love, and relationship coach, specifically for the LGBTQIA2+ community.
Yes. And I love that too, because coming from that therapy background, it was often hard to find therapists that were open and comfortable to having these different conversations, and I with so many friends and things, I feel like I'm more educated in this realm of things because of and same with you, because of the work that we do. But there's so often I'm talking with friends or family members that still just, they don't get it, right? They either think something like this is a phase, or they think because we see it now more in the media, that's why more people are coming out. And I believe, and I'm curious what you think, like, I believe we see more transgender people coming out, or just see more people coming out in general, because the world is changing and the world is becoming a more open, graceful place to be able to do that and to feel safe in doing that. And of course, I know that that's not going to be the case for everybody. However, I do feel like that's why we're hearing about it more, because more people are feeling open enough to come out and to share their experiences with people versus to stay in the closet for a longer period of time.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I think, especially with all the abilities that social media and the internet, all the possibilities for connection, now there's more opportunities for trans people, for non-binary and gender diverse people, for, sexuality diverse people to find their communities and, connect with one another when those opportunities aren't always available in, their hometowns or their cities, their workspaces, their families. We have a lot more opportunity to commune and connect with one another digitally, which I think is definitely lending itself to more people understanding more about themselves and feeling more empowered to come out. And I think, the other part about that too is, there is kind of this feeling sometimes, this sentiment of, oh yeah, what is this, a trend? Is this, what's going on? Like, I didn't hear about this when I was growing up. And, one, I think like that's kind of what you said, there's more support now. So it feels more accessible and safer for some people to come out. But I think the other side of that too is that a lot of people don't realize is trans people and gender diverse people have always existed since the beginning of time. We can go back in history and we can find examples of our ancestors everywhere, especially in other communities, especially communities that were not colonized or before they were colonized. There was a lot more gender diversity and a lot more openness to that. But, because of, different governments, different influences, different religious structures, a lot of that was kind of suppressed or even completely taken out of history. And there are amazing people that have done the work to archive a lot of that and actually like dig up a lot of our history. But we've always existed and we always will.
Yeah. And I think too, and I wonder what you think, is a lot of it, we have so many new terms now on how we can identify our sexual orientation. And I think that comes again with all this, education. And I love that you mentioned the internet and there being resources out there for people to feel that sense of community to a complete stranger even. I think there's so much power behind that. And then when you can connect with these people and learn like, oh my gosh, like, yes, I've been feeling that same way. And now there's a term for this. Like I had no idea here, somebody would say like, no, I just thought I was queer the whole time, or I just considered myself gay, but it's something so much deeper than that. It could be pansexual, demisexual, any of those things. But I think I love when I was working with the clients in this field and that you could just see that light bulb moment go off when they were able to, feel and get that education and just have that better understanding of themselves. And when you're working with people that are planning to come out, let's say to friends or family members, do you feel that a lot of what can help ease that process is providing them with education and then giving it to them in a way where they can almost regurgitate it and then deliver it to that person that they're coming out to?
Yes, absolutely. I think, education is such an important piece. And, the point that you made about language, it's like, yeah, our language is constantly evolving. There's so many, I myself, like as a member of this community, and I know many other people that feel this way, I don't know everything. I don't know all of the terms. I don't know, I'm constantly learning and educating my own self. I'm growing too. But yeah, with my clients and friends, I'm definitely always trying to empower them with, more education, more knowledge. And like you said, yeah, kind of, going through reciting almost in an affirmational sense, like, okay, these are the things that I know about myself. These are the things that I've learned. And these are ways that I can help communicate that to other people that don't understand. We've found, with lots of studies and research has shown that people that actually get to know a trans person or a gender diverse person, or, also that includes other people, other people in the LGBTQ plus community. If you actually get to know somebody like that, it changes your perspective drastically. It's so different than just kind of thinking about things conceptually or reading about it on your own, but actually like having that connection, finding someone online that you want to follow on Instagram or YouTube or whatever. Like it really does change people's minds and open up their minds. And then that's where we see a lot of what you said, a lot of people realizing, oh my gosh, I actually identify, like I had no idea. I didn't realize I could be this. I didn't realize I could be a part of this group. And it's really wonderful. It's lovely to see people realize these things about themselves.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of my favorite things, and to be with those people and especially in the work that you're doing, to be there to hold their hand almost through that journey and to really help with the uncomfortable things that are coming up or their fears and things that are coming up. I love that part of our work. And so my next question I want to ask is, so when you're working with somebody, or from, even personal experiences, what would you say are some of those feelings or worries that come up for somebody that is planning to come out, let's say to a family member, but they're having that, they're feeling really anxious about it? What are the common things that you hear from those people?
Oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, I think, I think a really common thing that comes up for a lot of people is, I feel this way, but I don't know what to call myself, or I don't know where to fit. Human beings, like it's our natural desire to want to label things and categorize things. And, and part of that I kind of think plays into the desire for community. If you can say like, oh yes, I'm pansexual, then you can find your people. If you can say, oh, I'm queer, you can find your people. I'm trans, you can find your people. But I think, sometimes people worry, like, especially, people that get to a certain age. And I wouldn't say that there's an actual number, but I think probably adulthood, anytime in adulthood, I think people start to worry that they're too old to come out. You know, if they didn't come out in childhood, then are they too old to come out? Or, you know, if they have, if their history has been such that, you know, maybe they have always dated a certain type of person and now they want to explore something about their sexuality in their dating life. They're worried, oh, well, I've been this way up until this point, or I thought I was, you know, I'm worried that it's too late for me to do this, to make this announcement or make this change. And, you know, I just always want to say to those clients and people that it's never too late. It's never a wrong time. You know, you are valid at any point in your life that you decide to learn more about yourself or come out. And also, you know, knowing that as much as we want to label things, our labels can change, you know? So, I mean, that's definitely been the case for me personally and many people I've known. You know, for most of my life, I identified only as a queer person, but as a cisgender queer person. And now I have kind of come to this place where I've realized that I feel more gender diverse. I feel more that I fall kind of into this genderqueer, non-binary, feminine space, femme space, you know. But that's something that, you know, even for me as somebody that does this work, and like you said, kind of, I love to hold people's hands through this. It was scary, you know. It was a big deal, like realizing that my labels are changing, and you know, what does that mean? But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people seem to be, you know, they worry that, yeah, they're too old for something, or they've been a certain way for so long, or, you know, even further, like, you know, maybe they've identified as trans feminine for a while, and then they realize, oh, you know, I actually feel more non-binary, you know, that kind of thing too. And it's like, yeah, it's okay. It's all right to grow and change and learn new language to describe yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for people that are planning to come out, do you feel that it's best for them to kind of have this plan going into it and have almost a list of resources to give to people, or kind of a list or just an arsenal of comebacks, if you will, and based on how they might respond? So I would say in terms of like having an extensive preparation going into that coming out conversation, or do you feel like it's better for them to just go with it, just say what you need to say and take it, you know, take whatever comes at you in that moment?
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful question. And I think that it definitely kind of depends on the individual. You know, for some people, it feels very empowering to kind of have this moment of, yes, I've realized this about myself, you know, I'm coming out world. And, you know, and it feels very empowering and strong and powerful to kind of define themselves in this very clear way. And for other people, you know, there's more anxiety, and it's a much slower process. I think that everyone, no matter where, you know, how you're feeling about how you want to come out, I think that everyone can definitely benefit from more education and time spent with community. And again, you know, that doesn't have to be in person. That can be digitally or over the phone or through text or whatever. But yeah, I think, you know, it's definitely great to have resources. I think it really depends on, you know, your particular situation and where you're trying to come out, because coming out to your family is very different than coming out at work, you know? And then there's, you know, there's varying degrees of safety as well. You know, like, I'm a white person, I'm read as a white female, read as a white cis person, and there comes a lot of privilege with that. And, you know, I don't have to worry about the same things that many of my siblings in this community do. And so, you know, I think that's also part of it too. It's like knowing what is really safe for you. You know, some people, while they want to be out and proud, they live in a situation where it would not be safe for them to be out with who they live with or with their family, or they work at a place where, they could potentially lose their job or lose, their security, if they come out. So I think, also taking that into consideration, and, all of us in the community and allies to the community, remembering that not everyone can have the same coming out experience. But, I think if somebody is wanting help to do that, I just help them, I try to help them kind of evaluate, where is it that you want to come out, and like what space, and, what are you hoping to get from that?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's just, I'm hoping to speak my truth and let the chips fall where they may. And for some people it's, well, I'm hoping for a level of acceptance. I'm hoping for, a celebration or whatever. And I think, those instances definitely need their own special set support.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we could shift gears a little bit, something that you said sparked this question for me, but let's say somebody is very new into this community, very new to coming out, and they're single. So, and can we talk about a little bit about coming out in dating situations, and when is the right time for that? Do you do that on the first date? If, let's say, if you're not immediately identified, or gendered correctly, let's say, do you express that right away? Do you wait a few dates? That, and I think I get this question often, specifically to, talking about what genitalia you have assigned to you. If you're expressing opposite of that, when does that conversation sort of come up?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and it's a very delicate and individual situation for sure. Again, like, we have to look at, what is this, safety? What are we going to, what are we trying to achieve, and how are we going to keep ourselves safe? And I do think that there's kind of multiple schools of thought on that. And, I personally think that, there's many right answers to this question. Yeah. I think ultimately, it has to come down to what that person feels comfortable doing, what they feel safe doing. And I think that, if you feel safe and comfortable early on, I think it is a good thing to have those conversations, because, you want to start any relationship being as honest and truthful as you can. But on the flip side of that, I think there also is this kind of narrative that specifically transgender people owe people disclosure. And I don't personally agree with that. I don't agree, that anyone, on a first or second or third date has to disclose anything about their genitalia or their, I think that, I don't think trans people owe anybody outing themselves.
Got it.
But again, like, I do think that, approaching relationships with as much transparency and honesty as you can, is a good thing to do. Again, like, keeping your safety number one. But yeah, I think there are opportunities to kind of start having certain types of conversations that don't necessarily out you, but give you a chance to kind of know when you're thinking about going on a date or going on a date with somebody, kind of give you a better idea about what kind of a person they are. Yeah. And what kind of, do they have any understanding of this community? Do they have, experience? Do they have friends in this community? Excuse me. And, do they seem like somebody that's going to be an affirming and open and safe person for you to talk to? And, that can be very hard when you're dating. Like, we don't always know our safety, how our safety is going to be. But that, again, I also recommend that people go on dates with groups, go on dates with friends. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, of course, we want to get to know each other more intimately, more romantically, more personally, one-on-one. But, there is time for that. Yeah. And always putting our safety as community members first. And kind of being there, or have a friend close by, have a friend on speed dial, have plans. I definitely always encourage people to kind of have personal safety plans. And it can feel like a little bit of overkill sometimes. Like, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to go to extra lengths? But, it is scary and dangerous out there sometimes too. So yeah, it's good to have those plans.
I love that recommendation of to maybe start with a group date or a few group dates until you can establish that sense of trust or safety with somebody. I think that's wonderful. And I know there's one thing to definitely be true about the LGBT plus community is that it is a very strong, like, solid ass community, right? Like, yes, when you find, like, yes, you said, when you find your people, like, they're your people, like they show up for one another. And I absolutely love that. And so I think that's a great tip. And maybe for somebody listening to this, if you haven't yet found your community, we can maybe, Sarah, you can share some great ally accounts that people can follow or things that they can search for on Instagram or within social media to be able to find and connect with people, even if it's not on a local basis.
I have a laundry list, love. I will be happy to send you so many things that you can pop in the show notes or we can share online. Yes, I love that. I love connecting people. My husband, Rocky, and I both do. We love to connect people to resources and community all over the country. Yes. And internationally, honestly, even.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's amazing. So in our final sort of conversation here, I swear this time flies by when you record, especially when it's something you're so passionate and enjoy yes, talking about. But I'm curious, what would you say? So with somebody that's planning to come out, are there any just general tips that you would give to them to kind of help prepare, kind of ease the stress that might come along with this?
So first of all, I just want to remind anyone that is feeling, like they want to come out that, first of all, you are valid. You are valid just as you are. You are perfect just as you are. You don't have to feel this pressure to kind of justify, the point that you're at in your life where the, you don't owe anybody any justification. If you want to change your name, your pronouns, if you want people to understand that you identify as a different sexuality than you did before, that your gender is actually, your gender pronouns have updated, anything like that, you are valid. And, you deserve to live in your truth and be affirmed in that. And, if your coming out experience isn't always affirming at first, there are people and there is a community waiting for you with open arms to love you and uplift you and support you. Mm-hmm. So please don't be discouraged if certain people close to you have a hard time, or, even worst case scenario, if certain people don't accept it. You know yourself better than anybody else mm-hmm. knows you. Yeah. And you know who you are, and you deserve to, live in that empowered.
Mm-hmm. And I think that I 100% agree with that. And one thing that I was talking about somebody recently with was that you have to think about, the person that's coming out, think about the time that you spent on your journey, right? Think about the time that it took for you to discover this and go through all these things and really, really figure out who you are as a person and what feels best for you. And then giving that person a little bit of grace on the other end. Let's say if it wasn't maybe the reaction that you were hoping for, or it wasn't a healthy reaction, or it was a negative reaction. Let's say even, I will say, like, giving those people, giving them some space, right? Maybe those are the people that you do try to connect with in a community. You do maybe provide some resources to. I know Netflix has some great documentaries and things like that too, and movies that people can watch. So it's a little bit more light, But I will say, just putting it into that mindset, right? Like, you took this many months, years even, to go through this process. Give this person some grace, because they literally are going to react in a matter of seconds, right? And so,
yes, absolutely.
they need the time sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Giving people the time to, process and come up with their own questions. Absolutely. I agree. And I also think too, it's really important. Of course, it's important for us to empower, our siblings and loved ones who are coming out. But it's also important for us as allies to find ways to be more supportive when people come out too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a big part of it. It's like, I completely agree that, we need to have space and openness. If we're the one coming out, we need to have space and openness for our loved ones to process that. And then also, as loved ones, we need to do a little bit of work on our own time, because the chances are, if you don't know somebody right now that is trans or gender diverse, or someone that is gay or queer or pansexual, you might not know them now, but you will.
Mm-hmm.
Chances are,
mm-hmm.
you will meet them, you will know them, you will love them. And so, do a little bit of work on your own time to kind of, try to find ways to be supportive if someone does come out to you.
Yeah.
There are a lot of ways to do that. And I have some great articles I can link you to as well.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask about that and kind of, do a little bit of role reversal and speak on this topic from the person that is receiving the news, or being the person that somebody's coming out to. What is the best thing for somebody to say in that moment? Like, okay, great, like, thank you for telling me, or I love you no matter what. I feel like there's such a it's so black and white, if you will, on what you can say in those moments, and something might sound good to you and seem open to you, but the other person might not take it that way,
Yes, absolutely. I know exactly what you're saying. I think, the best thing to do, first of all, is to, tell that person that you hear them, you love them, and that you really appreciate them being so open with you, because that took a huge amount of courage and bravery for them to share that with you. So yeah, I think, first, right out the gate, just affirm them.
Mm-hmm.
And, tell them that, okay, yeah, I hear you, I see you, and it makes me feel so special that you would entrust me with this precious information. And, and then I think, as much as you can, I encourage people to celebrate in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Find the moment of celebration. There's lots of time for more conversations and questions to be answered. But in that moment, that is a very, it's a fragile space for people that are coming out to be in. So I think, affirm them first off, and then, try to find that moment of celebration really early on. Yay, this is a great thing. Like, I'm glad that you realize this about yourself. I'm excited to learn how to support you better. And then, I think when we kind of get into the moving forward, then, asking them, is there something that I can do specifically to affirm you? Do you want me to change the pronouns that I use for you? Is there a name that you would prefer I call you by? And then if you have the capacity for it, continuing on with things like, would you like me to support you in coming out to someone else? Do you want me to be there as your emotional support, or, just a person to hold your hand when you call your mom? Or, would you like me to help you figure out how to come out at work? Maybe we can contact HR and we can talk about that, together. I can be an ally for you. But yeah, first off, just affirming them, loving them, reminding them that you're there. And while you might not understand everything immediately, you're going to do the work to try to understand.
Absolutely. I think that's beautiful, and I love everything about that, and I'm so pumped to get all of these resources from you to link into the show notes, because I know that there's people that listen to this podcast that are just hungry for this information, and sometimes just don't know where to go, or maybe are nervous to search things, on the internet and whatnot. So I think this is so great. And you mentioned pronouns, and I wanted to mention this too. I'm feeling really proud of the fact that as we're recording this episode, Instagram's new thing, they added pronouns to your Instagram profile. That is literally amazing. So if you have not yet checked that out, that is one way that you can be seen and identified very quickly on social media as somebody that is an ally, and just being a person that understands this community, and you're a person that can show up for them.
Yes, I love that you mention, as an ally, adding your pronouns, because I think a lot of people assume that the pronoun thing is only for non-binary people or trans people, gender diverse people. But no, pronouns are for all of us. We all use pronouns. Mm-hmm. We might not think we do, but we do. And I think it's, like you said, Rachel, it's a wonderful way to kind of show that you are supportive and open, and you're an ally to this community, or you're part of the community. Mm-hmm. I love it. I'm so proud of Instagram for doing that.
Yes. Yeah. There's some things I want to cut Instagram for, but that is one thing that I'm thankful that they have done.
Good move.
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this has been so great, Sarah. Again, thanks for coming on. Tell us about any of the work that you're doing right now, or do you have anything in the works that people can look you up on Instagram? They can see some of the fun things that you're doing in your life.
Yes. Please find me on Instagram at the Sarah Swofford, and also on Instagram at SwirlBabyTV. That is the page and channel I run with my husband. And also find us on YouTube at SwirlBabyTV. It's all one word. We are actually, we have a lot of really fun stuff coming up for Pride Month for June. We're going to be releasing a lot of new video content soon on there. And and then, definitely my Instagram, the Sarah Swofford, for more like personalized coaching and advocacy related shenanigans.
Yes. I love it. And we will link all of those in the show notes as well. So you can see in the show title here, but it's Sarah, Sarah. Last name is Swofford, Swofford, in case you're looking for her immediately right now on Instagram, unless you're driving, of course. But again, thank you, Sarah. This was so great. And I think the work that you're doing, and just the person that you are, there needs to be more people out in the world like you, because your energy and your openness and just your bubbliness, if you could see her right now, your smile is just one of the most contagious smiles I've ever seen in my life. And I'm so thankful that our paths have crossed.
You are such a love, Rachel. I am so grateful too. I'm so grateful for that amazing, I don't know if you call it a class, but that amazing program that we did together.
Yes.
That, like you said, that was just such a wonderful experience. And I'm so grateful for you and all that you do for this community and for women. And I love your work. It's an honor to be able to do this with you.
Aw, thank you. Well, definitely go check out Sarah's profile, you guys. Give her a follow, and if you have any questions or anything about this episode that you want to follow up with her on, I know that she'll be somebody that would just be delighted to speak with you more, and maybe help with your journey as well, as if you're one of those people listening to that. So
yes, please contact me anytime.
All right. Until next time, y'all. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you loved it, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a thing. And if you loved it so fucking much, be sure to leave a 5-star review. I'll see you next week, and until then, keep owning your sexual self.